This goes hard on the Monday scorecard. Turn your bars to a bird and then bogeys to a par. With Travis Fulton and the Monday scorecard. Let's go.
Welcome into the Scorecard presented by Encore Golf. I'm your host, Travis Fulton, and we are back in the man cave here in the studio soon, though. It's coming. 1st of June, Charles Schwab Cup Challenge kicks off the PGA Tour event. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for sports. I'm going crazy. But you know what? Last night, we got a little gift. The Last Dance. The Bulls Dynasty with Michael Jordan. That was sweet. Episode 1 and 2. I can't wait for the remaining 8. Got my Supersonics hat on. It's all about basketball here in the Scorecard. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, the greatest 1-2 duo in the history of the NBA. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, the greatest player of all time. Now, we're going to break down their swings. I've got their swings, full analysis and game plan. I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do with both of their swings. I've met them both. I'll talk to you about Pippen later in the show. First, MJ, years ago, down in Orlando, getting ready to do a training at the Grand Lakes Resort there at the JW. And about probably 6:45 in the morning, I'm out there setting up. It's just me, no one else is around. I'm about half asleep. All of a sudden, someone pulls up behind me, and I kind of sense them, and they're getting ready to hit some balls. I can hear the club shafts kind of clanging together, and I turn around, and it's MJ. The Wizards are in town. This is after his playing days with the Washington Wizards. They're playing the Magic, and here he is by himself going out to play some golf. And I turn around, we make eye contact, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And the rest of the remaining 5 minutes, I think we kind of exchanged a few things, but I have no idea what he was saying or what I was saying because I was in absolute shock. It was just an incredible experience to be standing there, just him and I exchanging a few words back and forth. But he was very cool. He went out, he played 36 holes that day, and then of course they had that game that night and they went out, and that's what MJ does. He plays 36 holes every single day. He's building a course down in Jupiter right now. Absolutely loves golf and has always loved golf, even through the prime of his career in basketball. So let's break MJ's swing down. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do with Michael Jordan's swing.
Let's have some fun here and break down MJ's swing and give him a game plan for better golf. Now, Michael loves to play golf, of course, plays 36 holes a day. He's building a course down in southern Florida. And I've seen Michael swing before. And when you look at him at address, and you can't really see this from face on, but, you know, one of the things that Michael will tend to do, especially with a driver, is he will kind of face that forward ball position. He'll turn his chest, kind of look towards it, and that'll get him kind of open to the left in the shoulder line. His spine will lean a little too far left. So always want to make sure Michael gets a little tilt to the right, especially with the driver. Now, Michael is a prime candidate to get some lead arm depth, right? He's always kind of let his left arm just kind of work up, and it doesn't work around him in the backswing. And the main reason why, if you look at his lower body, you know, it really hasn't moved. I mean, watch his knee flex in his lower body. There's very little turn in that. So you guys know me enough by now that I want to see that right hip turn some. I want that right hip turning more behind him and lose a little flexion in that right knee. Now, if he does that, that lead arm can work a little deeper back behind him. And I think it'd be really interesting to get Michael to do that, and then from there, just let him be instinctive and go find it. That's one of the things that I like to do with players, in particularly when you have good stuff like this coming down, which is when you look at Michael here, look at that club shaft. You know, it's laying down back behind him. Thank goodness. If that shaft was steep at all, he would have a hard time making solid contact with any club in his bag. But he does lay it down nicely. He just doesn't have a lot of lead arm depth. There's no hip turn, which really robs him of a lot of power. But he's always done a good job of shallowing it out, having a little forward shaft lean, and then from there, rotating to the finish. So here's the game plan for Michael, and I'm going to share with you the videos just like I prescribe in my online lessons. So Michael, if you're listening, we're going to make sure, number one, the video, we're tilted slightly behind it at address. Number two, we're going to turn that right hip behind you. And number three, we're going to get some lead arm depth. And when you do that, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you be instinctive and you find it. And I'm going to go ahead and predict 20 more yards in more accuracy. Here it comes.
So here's a good driver setup routine. We get the grip, set the club face behind the ball, flare that lead foot, and then take a big step with your trail foot. And you can see how the ball position now is forward, up towards my left heel, left shoulder area. Now, when you get the ball forward, make sure the hands stay more in line with the driver head. Don't get going this way. Okay, more in line or slightly behind the driver head. Okay, now final thing, spine, tilt it gently to the right and make sure your chest feels like it's looking a little bit back here to the right a little bit. Don't face that forward ball position, but tilt and turn a little bit more back here, and this will keep you nice and square. So as you turn, that lower body is very, very passive, right, or very still. It doesn't really look like it's moving at all. And this left knee is kind of the key centerpiece of that. That left knee is staying pointed out here, kind of in front of the ball. What we need to do is we've got to get that left knee to kick in and point more behind the ball. It's okay for that left heel to even come up. So let that left knee start to point more to the right behind the ball as you're turning, and you're going to feel a much better turn loaded into the right side. So as we're turning to the top, we're not getting enough depth. That lead arm is just elevating straight up like this. So let's let that left arm kind of work a little bit deeper back that way behind you. So here's one, and then make that full turn in the hip and shoulders and get that left arm deeper and probably covering up this trail shoulder at the top of the swing. All right, moving along to Scottie Pippen. For every Batman, there's a Robin, and Pippen was a great player. Really enjoying getting to know Scottie Pippen through this Last Dance documentary as well. I spent some time with Scottie Pippen a year ago down at the Baha Mar down in the Bahamas. Great showdown event, NBA players versus NFL players. And I walked around with Scottie Pippen. He was really cool. And I was just super impressed by the way that he managed his game. One match, he played Pat McAfee, and they both played really good. Pat played some great golf over 3 days, but Scottie was just like off the charts good that day. He holed out a 9-iron from like 145 yards. It was really cool to watch, but just walking with him, talking about golf, talking about basketball, and he actually gave me an interview, which was really cool. And I want to share this interview with you as we were just kind of walking up the fairways, chatting about basketball. And then from there, a game plan on what I would do with Scottie Pippen's swing.
All right, Scottie Pippen, let's break down the swing. Very nice. A lot of good stuff here in this swing, and where I would help Scottie, and I watched him hit shots, the tendency the ball would go to the right just a little bit. This is a very sound setup. You can see the ball position forward. He's tilted behind it, just like the driver setup video that I had for MJ. Now, I think Scottie should get the club face just a little bit more closed at the top. But before I get to that, look at the turn here in the lower body. Looks just like that video I was playing for MJ, right? Look at the left knee across, right hip turning back. That's fantastic stuff to the top of the swing. Now, you can't really see it from this view, but from the target line view, that club face is hanging a little open. And the reason is the combination between the grip, which is about neutral, and then at the top of the swing, the left wrist being just a little bit cupped. Now, with that face being a little open, Scottie would just get a little ahead of it. See this upper body move? So you kind of lunge a little bit forward, get out ahead of it here with the upper body, where this spine is really just too neutral. He needs to be at a little more right bend this way as he comes down and delivers the club head to the golf ball. Now this one went straight because you can see there's a little gear effect there. He hit it on the toe. And some of the straight shots, even draws, are coming off of the toe, and it's because of that move with the upper body. Now, I think, Scottie, the game would be a lot easier if we got the club face more square at the top. I'd probably leave the grip alone. He could go a touch stronger in the left hand, but at the top of the swing, we've got to get this left wrist flat. Okay, so the first video for Scottie is going to be about how to get that right wrist bent, left wrist flat, elbows probably a little more together to get that face angle more square, and then from there, just staying in a little more side bend to the right through the impact zone. And those two things, I'm telling you, would make a big difference for Scottie. But he manages this very nicely. These two changes, though, more distance, more accuracy. Here comes the game plan.
So as you turn to the top, we got a lot of space between the elbows here, and that left wrist gets cupped, right? Shaft wants to get vertical, face wants to get open. So as you turn here, try to feel like that right elbow is going to pinch more of the left, and then that left wrist can flatten out, right? You can see that left wrist kind of curling under and flattening out, right? So right elbow is going to pinch the left wrist flattens out. Now the club shaft wants to lay down a little bit, and that club face is nice and square. So as we go to this impact position, and even beyond a post impact, we want to manage that spine angle. The spine, good spine angle is going to see that spine a little bit of right bend, okay, and then a little bit of extension back this way, okay? So extension is here, and then right bend is here, okay? So we set up in a little bit of right bend, and then as I swing to impact, I want to feel like I'm in a little bit of right bend, but then as I continue to turn through, I feel a little bit of extension here, and that's good use or good management of your spine through the impact zone. Good stuff there. I hope you enjoyed the breakdowns, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I can't wait for the remaining episodes of The Last Dance. The only downside to the first two episodes was being reminded Scottie Pippen. He was wearing this hat. You probably saw it, right? He was wearing this hat. The Supersonics drafted him. And he was traded for Olden Polynice. Let me say that again. Scottie Pippen was traded for Olden Polynice. See you next week.